This is part 2, episode 112. A year ago, Shahal was dying. Regardless of whether it was Stone Country or Stone Village, they both brought out the highest grade precious medicines for him to eat to preserve his life. Back then, they didn't do that much, but in reality, they were still effective. Endless vitality had been infused into his body, and all of it had been stored until now. Holy medicine, divine wine, immortal spring, elderwood praying mat, silver peaches, sun god trees golden liquid, which one of them weren't world-shaking precious medicines. They were simply priceless. All of this existed in his flesh, nourishing his body this past year to fight off the bronze rust symbols. The medicines were extremely useful. At the very least, he didn't have to worry about withering away. There was an exuberant wave of life force and spiritual essence within his body. He didn't have to worry about his body drying up at all. He was full of foundational energy. He experienced life and death, undergoing reincarnation. The symbols of his body revived, fighting against the power of the curse and gradually gaining the upper hand. This is the main reason why he was able to make it this far. Peng, an intense fluctuation sound could be heard. Auspicious multicolored light rushed outwards, flying out from the tomb from within the coffin. The villagers could clearly see divine light swirling about Shahal's body. His flesh was surging with vitality, and his breathing became steady. The white mists coming out from his mouth and nose were like immortal energy, that was, without a doubt, an innate source. Shahal calmly laid there. A wave of energy emerged from his body. His chest began to rise and fall. Then, dong-dong sounds could be heard, leaving everyone quite shocked. Even Hairy Ball and Little Red were emotionally moved. This was his heart that had started beating. It was powerful and full of force. It was as if someone was beating down on a drum. In that instant, Shahal's flesh flowed with a layer of mysterious radiance, making his flesh sparkling and translucent as if it was formed from immortal gold. It surged with auspicious radiance. How terrifying. Little Uncle's heart is so strong. We can't even stand still. A few children backed up, their faces a bit pale from being shaken up like this. This was truly astonishing. This heartbeat indicated that his powerful blood energy was reviving. It was simply as if an enormous beast was awakening. Shahal's chest shone, especially his heart. It became like a fiery divine furnace, releasing dazzling scarlet multicolored radiance. Spiritual essence roiled, surging unendingly. There are still cracks in his broken bones that haven't grown back. However, this isn't a problem. Once he revives, everything can be cured. Yi, what is that? Hairy Ball was astonished. It pointed at Shahal's bones. With the dual pupils it could naturally see what was happening. During the battle back then, Shahal's body was blasted into pieces. All of the bones in his body were broken, and today, there were still cracks that hadn't been healed yet. Hairy Ball discovered that light flowed between the cracks of those bones, nurturing those broken bones. It's supreme being blood. Little Red cried out in astonishment. When these words were spoken, Stone Village's people were all moved. They all paid close attention and carefully observed this place. They cared a lot about this situation. Shahal lost his supreme being bone, but because of it, a young expert with 2 immortal bones was produced. Right now, his younger brother had already left the higher realms shaken, leaving the villagers all feeling uncomfortable inside. It should be able to eliminate the curse, it's just that the price that has to be paid is too great. Little Red said with a sigh. It finally understood what had happened during this past year. Shahal's supreme being bone had continuously been burning. Even though there wasn't much left over, it continuously fought against the curse to wash away and completely eliminate it. Success results in a curse, defeat also ends up in a curse. Natural luck and dangers truly coexist. During this process, Shahal's flesh gradually adapted bit by bit, slowly supporting everything. This became the base of this natural opportunity. You absolutely must not wait until all of the green bronze rust symbols are wiped out. This type of blood will dry up too, and when that happens, it will become extremely troublesome. The gains would not make up for the losses. No harm. Back then, Shahal had his bone gouged out as well, and then all of his supreme being blood was even removed. However, his true blood still reappeared. What kind of mysterious symbols would appear now? Maybe it'll be even more world-shaking. If it can be reborn, then it would be simply unimaginable. Shahao was continuously changing. The life force around his body was becoming more and more powerful. The only thing left was for him to sit up. The vitality of his body had practically been restored. All types of light swirled about his body resplendently. Meanwhile, the entire coffin smashed apart under the multicolored light, scattering into ashes. Those silver roots even more so began to shrink back. Many of the undecaying grass wilted. Hairy Ball and Little Red released a breath. There shouldn't be any more accidents from here on out, right, Little How? The villagers cried out loudly. Many people threw themselves outwards. They had truly waited for too long. They were waiting this entire time, wishing that he could survive. Yi, something's not right. Shalinhu was astonished. His body swayed back and forth, and he seemed a bit dizzy. He almost directly fell onto the ground. Hairy Ball and Little Red were both shocked. There wasn't any energy being released from the grave, but there was still this type of power. It truly was formidable. Who am I? Shahao's deep eyes released life force, gradually reviving as if he had just woken up from a great dream. His fingers trembled. When everyone heard this, their minds all trembled, feeling incomparably nervous. What was going on? Could it be that there was some major problem? Even though there isn't any divine might fluctuation, this is the power of reincarnation. No one can get close to him. It is extremely dangerous. His entire being is currently in an irregular state, said Little Red. The blazing radiance around Shahao's body had already been restrained, so it was calm and peaceful here. However, Hairy Ball and the others could still sense an astonishing aura that made them fall into reincarnation. I know what it is. Because the Supreme Being bone is missing, all of the symbols were engraved into his flesh, blood, and bones, said Hairy Ball. During this past year, even though Shahao was unconscious, his consciousness was struggling the entire time, merging with his flesh to continuously reincarnate. Even though the Supreme Being bone was lost, these types of symbols, these unmatched precious techniques had been used the entire time, engraving themselves onto his body. Finally, Shahao suddenly opened his mouth, spitting out a blood arrow. This lump of Supreme Being blood turned into discarded blood. It rushed out, containing complex symbols within it. Yi, what is this? Shifeijiao was astonished. He looked at the bright red blood that stuck to the undecaying grass. A bit of green light flickered about within. What a powerful curse. It gathered together without scattering. Even at the final moments, it could concentrate together. However, it is no longer of any threat to Shahao. It has been completely defeated. Hairy Ball sighed in amazement. These were the Immortal Palace's curse symbols, the seed symbol Huang Yu brought into the lower realm. It had been inserted into Shahao's body back then, continuously proliferating until it almost took his life. Child! The old village chief cried out. After reincarnating for so long, it's about time to revive. Why aren't you waking up yet? Hurry and detach yourself from it. Hairy Ball and Little Red both shouted, using their great divine abilities to roar out with Dao voices. Finally, the mysterious wave of energy on Shahao's body scattered. The reincarnation force was collected. His eyes became clear, and then he closed his eyes, entering a state of deep thought. Ahu sounded. He sat up. His eyes carried joy and tears as he looked at everyone. Being alive is truly great. Today, he was alive again. He could see light, see those he recognized. These people all belonged to his dearest family. Blood energy swirled within Shahao's body, raging like a great river. Rumbling sounds would erupt as soon as he operated it. Brilliant multicolored light shone in a splendid and dazzling manner. Then, he quickly restrained his aura. His entire body was healthy, even becoming more powerful. The children were like naughty monkeys as they hung from his body, crawling up and down. They were all incredibly happy. What a pity he lost his Supreme Being bone, and the last bit of true blood has been burned up too. Shifeijiao said rather regretfully. Hairy Ball and Little Red nodded. They sighed slightly. If the true blood hadn't dried up and nourished his body, the flesh memory would have been even deeper, turning into an instinct. Is the precious technique still there? Shalinhu and the others were extremely nervous. My flesh recorded it, and before, the reincarnation symbols had already been engraved inside of my mind. Everything is still there. Shahao said. He wiped away the tears on his face. Grandpa Chief. Shahao called out softly, feeling rather moved. Tears rolled down his face as he smiled. This elder had clearly aged quite a bit during his period of death. It's good as long as you are alive. Don't leave us ever again. Shi Yunfeng's voice was trembling as he spoke. He carefully looked over Shahao, transitioning from great sadness to great joy. His heart was rising and falling. It was hard for him to control himself. Shahao supported the elder, helping him wipe away his tears. Grandpa Chief, don't feel bad. How could I have been willing to leave? I was here all along. This was, without a doubt, a day full of joy for Stone Village. Everyone's spirits were raised, and the entire village was in festive spirits. It was full of a joyous atmosphere. Being alive truly is good. I missed every one of you. When he returned to the village, Shahao was also extremely moved as he spoke. He was smothered by everyone. Arms reached out one after another, continuously touching him. After being separated for more than a year, still being able to remain alive was just a miracle. The heavens have opened their eyes. Little Hao has revived, finally becoming conscious. Ha ha, my Stone Village's child's fate is great. Heaven couldn't take him away. Ever since Shahao's death, a long time had passed since they had this type of cheerful celebration. The adults were all grinning from ear to ear, letting them crazily run about. Come. Let's drink all night in celebration to Little Hao's survival. Shalin Hu roared with laughter as he spoke. Ha ha, the group of people roared with laughter. The sky had already darkened a long time ago. Stellar splendor scattered down onto this world. These people have truly done evil. For the sake of coming down into this world, just how many lives have they harmed? They truly deserve to be punished. The old village chief said with his eyes widened. His body reeked of alcohol. Everyone carried resentment. For the sake of coming down into this realm, they carried out a blood sacrifice, completely treating the people of this world like domesticated animals and not like living beings. It was a cruel and bloody event that made everyone furious. Child, when you enter the higher realms, you must be careful. Rumors have it that it is an unimaginably large place. Any province is larger than all of the lower realms. It is an incomparably vast place, a world without borders, said Shalin Hu. Right? That place is too mysterious. There are taboo existences and gods. It is a place full of unknowns, and endless races exist above. Experts were as common as trees in a forest. You have to be careful. Pihu was already drunk. He was also warning Shahao, feeling reluctant to part. During this year, they had learned quite a bit about the higher realms from Qin Yining and the others. They were on guard against that vast and unknown world. It made them feel rather tense. I will pay attention, Shahao said with a smile. Right now, this world was without a little stone. Everyone thought that he had died, so there shouldn't be any dangers once he went up. Little Uncle Hao, we cooked beast milk for you. Here. The women and children went to sleep relatively earlier. They didn't drink until they passed out, so they naturally woke up earlier. Right now, a group of children ran over while giggling endlessly. Stone Country, capital city. Several old kings were currently discussing official business inside a palace hall. They were all frowning. The atmosphere was a bit tense. What exactly happened? The ancestral land has cut off connection with the outside world, so we cannot exchange any messages. I truly hope nothing bad happened, the War King sighed. More than 2 months have already passed. None of the messages are going through either. Nothing bad has happened, right? The Ming King said. Shahao had already been dead for more than a year. These old kings would always think of him, but they could only sigh. His natural talents were astonishing, powerful to the extent where he could fight against deities. However, he died prematurely. It was just too much of a pity. What a pity for His Majesty, he possessed heaven-warping natural talents, but he died so early. Peng Nine shook his head, and then he thought of something. Right, regarding that matter, what do you all think? What else could it be? That type of firmness and selfishness, it's obviously those great sects. Don't think that we don't know who it is. The War King sneered. Recently, some people came to Stone Country and contacted them. They wanted the void furnace, as well as the ruined artifacts left behind by the 7 deities. They were willing to exchange for them with other materials. These people truly deserve to be killed. Back then, it was them who built the altar, using countless lives as living sacrifices to guide the 7 deities down. They actually have the nerve to ask for their remains. The Ming King said coldly. What they want the most is still the void furnace's fragments, said the War King. Stone Village, a land of bliss. Shahao was selecting his own things. He brought along the interspatial precious case and some other things, leaving everything else behind in the village. He sighed inwardly. The losses of the final battle had been too great. He chose self-destruction. Both of Stone Village's ancestral artifacts were damaged. There were 2 large holes on that beast's skin, and that beast bone had cracks in it as well. One has to understand that these were 2 divine magical artifacts, yet they were still ruined to this extent during that battle. Apart from these 2, the country protecting divine halberd, magical sword, and the other items were damaged as well. It truly made one sigh with regret. Unexpectedly, the broken sword left behind by Ghost Grandpa was still unharmed. Meanwhile, what made Shahao feel the most regretful was that the imperishable golden body battle clothes was broken as well. It had been worn on his body, so at the final moment, it broke into dozens of pieces. Child, you have to be careful. The old chief warned again and again. The villagers all came to see him off, watching as he ascended the village's altar with Qingfeng. Many people's eyes carried tears as they silently waved their hands. Stone Country, inside the imperial palace. These people truly are inciting my anger. They used living people as sacrifices, triggering a great massacre that led to my Stone Country emperor's death, yet they still dare to ask for the void furnace. The War King was surging with killing intent. That day, they received another letter that included the same message. However, the tone seemed a bit more threatening. It was written extremely clearly that the objects left behind by the 7 deities were all ominous. If they continued to hold on to them like this, there would inevitably be a terrible tragedy that would occur, one that might lead to the death of a country. What a pity it is that communications are cut off with Stone Village. Otherwise, if we asked those 2 to come out, they would all definitely be killed. The Ming King said. He was naturally talking about Hairy Ball and Little Red. More than a year ago, those 2 creatures that lit their divine flames came here before to pay the dying Shahao a visit. However, this was treated as a top secret, so news of this did not leak out. At that time, the 2 deities suffered severe injuries and lost a portion of their bodies. They reckoned that their injuries should be about recovered by now. They are truly going too far. After harming Stone Emperor, they still demand for those murderous weapons. Do they think there is no one inside my Stone Country? The Peng King shouted coldly. These letters came one after another during these past few days, filling them with irritation and anger. Qin Hao now has 2 supreme being bones, so he is definitely shining brilliantly now in the higher realms. News even came a few months ago that he defeated 5 great heavenly geniuses in a row. Stone Emperor was going to go up, also going to shake a region with his name. They couldn't continue talking about this topic. Things already reached this state, so what else was there to say? The little stone had already died, passing away more than a year ago. Everything had already become history. Meanwhile, the other youth could obtain Shahao's bone and rise up in the higher realms. That was his natural opportunity, and now, no one could stop him. How unfortunate our strength is still a bit lacking, or else we would have vented out some resentment for His Majesty, wiping out those great sects' foundations and inheritances. Sure enough, they saw Qingfeng walk down from the altar. Your Majesty, what happened? Why did you leave for more than 2 months, so suddenly, and cut off Stone Village from the outside world? The Ming King asked. He was obviously referring to Qingfeng when he said Your Majesty, because he had already succeeded the position. Qingfeng had a smile on his face, without the slightest bit of arrogance, and instead greeted these old kings respectfully, treating them like ancestral grandfathers. Some unusual things happened in Stone Village. What kind of things? These individuals' hearts jumped. When the War King, Ming King, Peng King and others saw this figure, an explosion happened in their minds. They felt a hot stream attack their eyes, and all of the blood in their bodies immediately surged. Your Majesty! Their voices were trembling, not daring to believe what they were seeing. They stared at the youngster on the altar with wide-opened eyes, feeling as if their entire bodies were burning up. They all trembled. Your Majesty, is it truly you? Forget about those imperial guards, even these old kings felt like they were in a dream. They were all incomparably shocked. During this past year, apart from Qing Feng, Qin Yining and a few other individuals, only Yu Chan appeared. Now, they unexpectedly met Shahao. I'm not dreaming, am I? Stone Emperor, you are still alive. You've reappeared. An imperial guard couldn't help but cry out. Your Majesty! Several old kings rushed forward. They now confirmed that this wasn't an illusion. That aura was too familiar, there was no way they would mistake it. Shahao had returned. It's me, I've made you all worry. Shahao walked down. When he saw these old kings, he felt emotional as well. Your Majesty is truly still alive. Everyone cried out loudly. A few younger imperial guards even jumped up. They were just too excited and moved. The War King laughed loudly, his tears about to flow out. This was truly unexpected. His thoughts were rising and falling greatly. He truly loathed the 7 deities and felt furious towards the higher realms' great inheritances. He really wanted to get revenge for Shahao, but the true deities were in the higher realms, so he was helpless to do anything. During this past year, he had always felt a wave of fire burn within him. Truly too happy. I never thought that there would be a day like today. It is just too great. His Majesty has risen from the dead. I wonder what kind of expressions those great sects would show after learning this. If news gets out, I think the entire world would be shocked and feel like this is just too unimaginable. I fear that no one will believe us. They will all think that this is fake information. Ha ha ha. They pushed cups and exchanged glasses, all of them drinking non-stop. What is this? Shahao saw a letter on the table and revealed a look of suspicion. After reading it, a grim smile quickly appeared on his face. He naturally could guess that it was the great sects that were making these demands, asking for the 7 deities' broken weapons. He never expected the void furnace to be so important. Void gold is an extremely rare material, with even a small piece difficult to find even after hundreds of thousands of years. There is a bit inside this furnace, which has drawn their jealousy, explained the Ming King. These words made several elders feel incomparably overjoyed. They all roared with laughter. For the past year, they've always felt a wave of gloominess in their hearts, and today, everything had been swept away. Meanwhile, the imperial guards surrounding them were even more overwhelmed by emotions. They were all fired up, clenching their fists tightly. Ever since Shahao died, everyone felt like they were suffocating. There was even a haze that was clouding their minds that they couldn't get rid of, making them feel extremely uncomfortable. We should settle things. There has to be an explanation. They need to pay for what they've done. Peng Nine said, his eyes flickering brightly as if there was electrical radiance there. Stone Country truly is domineering. Do they really think that they can rule the world with just a few supreme experts? It isn't enough even in this era without deities. In the afternoon, the imperial guards in the palace delivered a message to the palace hall. The old kings had already woken up a long time ago. They were currently chatting with Shahao and Qing Feng in an extremely joyous manner. All of them were smiling. They replied so quickly. The Ming King accepted the letter, and then his face fell slightly. They are warning that the ominous will bring about a bloody disaster, the death of a country. Is this the final threat? Later in the afternoon, a bloody cloud appeared in the sunny and cloudless sky that covered the sun. It was incomparably oppressive, as it slowly surrounded the imperial palace. It came. They really are absolutely unrestrained, daring to take action like this. The War King was angry. Something isn't right. This is the killing energy produced by the blood sacrifice, and now it has been pulled over by the blood clouds. Could it be that they want to carry out a blood sacrifice in my Stone Country's imperial palace? Peng Nine's gaze was like electricity. Stone Country is tyrannical and defies the heavens. Heavenly punishment will descend. Following the descent of the blood clouds, a tremendous voice sounded that was incomparably dignified. resounding through the skies. The supreme experts were going to rush up to break through this blood sacrifice great formation. At the same time, they were going to find the person that was controlling this formation to kill him. No need, let me. Shahao said. His palm slapped towards the sky. A vermilion bird appeared. Fiery light surged in an incomparably terrifying manner, immediately setting the skies aflame and adding to the Ming King's precious furnace. Under the Kai Kai sounds, many curse symbols were wiped out, quickly scattering. Meanwhile, large amounts of blood clouds were sucked into the precious furnace and refined into ashes. Outside the city, someone's body trembled, revealing a look of shock. He knew that this curse formation couldn't do anything to those great supreme experts, but it could definitely produce a bloody disaster, turning a few imperial guards and ordinary people into living sacrifices. He never thought that it would be destroyed by someone as soon as it began. What is going on? He hid within the clouds and gazed into Stone Country capital city, carefully looking inside. He didn't believe that those great supreme experts could get rid of it so quickly. Suddenly, he revealed a look of shock, realizing that someone had locked onto him. Who is this? Impossible. He was extremely shocked. The one that was coming was much stronger than Stone Country's supreme experts, and this individual's spiritual senses were terrifyingly sharp, already detecting him. Misleading the public and assaulting my Stone Country imperial capital, accept punishment. A dignified voice resounded through the imperial city. Then, an extremely large hand reached out into the sky. This individual cried out in alarm. He knew that was no way he could defend himself. He scattered the clouds and turned around to leave. He felt that this individual was too terrifying. However, it was already too late. That palm was earthen yellow in color and incomparably large. Symbols covered it densely. It immediately descended, surrounding the sky like the world palm divine ability. Break for me. This individual was also a supreme expert. Even though he didn't break into this realm for a long time, he still possessed great power. He was good at setting up formations and using strange techniques. Everyone in Stone Capital was astonished. What kind of divine might was this? A single hand reached out from the palace and reached into the clouds. This was just like something out of a legend. An extremely powerful figure was captured with a single attack, leaving everyone stupefied, feeling as if their mouths and tongues went dry. The evil has been eliminated. Everyone does not need to worry. A voice sounded from within the imperial palace, putting an end to the panic. Everyone calmed down, feeling a sense of security. They felt that with such powerful figures protecting Stone Country, they were definitely going to prosper. You are inside the central heavenly palace. The voice of the one that was captured trembled. His eyes opened wide, finding it hard to believe. Who am I looking at? Impossible. He shook his head forcefully to try and wake himself up from this dream. He couldn't accept this result. This was just too inconceivable. How could someone that had died more than a year ago suddenly reappear? He felt like this was definitely an illusion. Stone Country's supreme experts must have laid down a formation to mess with his divine senses, or else how could something like this have happened? You truly are the little stone. He immediately went stupid. He could feel the Kuan Peng power. When he saw that youth's gaze, he immediately woke up and said with a trembling voice. This was simply unbelievable. The effects were too great. Shahao actually appeared again, alive. Who was that person that died back then? This completely toppled common sense. He found this hard to accept. You are just a captive. What qualifications do you have to ask questions? The Ming King berated. Shahao was extremely direct. He reached out that hand to grab him again, and then he searched his sea of consciousness. He wanted to see exactly which sides wanted to take action. He naturally resisted. His forehead cracked apart, about to explode. Shahao quickly sealed him, stopping him from continuing with the self-destruction. Right now, the outside world was noisy. News quickly spread. A large hand reached out from the imperial palace. Symbols flickered about, scattering the clouds and capturing a powerful cultivator alive. This created a huge uproar. Impossible. The little stone has died. No one in this world could cultivate the Kuan Peng's precious technique to perfection. Some people shook their heads, casting aside this thought. A commotion broke out in the outside world. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.